Nothing rude from now.
It was an update.
You're being rude. If you can't be rude anymore. Okay. Yes, okay, so hello everybody, welcome to this afternoon's WIT event. Thank you firstly for accommodating the last minute change last week due to unscheduled and extended load shedding that impacted 3 of our speakers. So thank you very much for accommodating. So this afternoon's event is, as you can see, you should all be able to see the deck that's showing at the moment, and we are actually going to spend the afternoon speaking to 6 different ladies who are going to discuss the impact that their initiatives have had, either directly or indirectly, in the women in technology space. And so the reason why this topic came about is that we've been running WIT for a long time, and this slide here is just going to give you some information about what WIT is. So the bottom purple image is WIT Global. So our mothership is an organization based in the USA. And their whole focus, they originated as a Microsoft partner organization umbrella. Microsoft partner organization was the umbrella, and they all originated from that. And the purpose was to encourage women and girls to study STEM and pursue careers in the technology sector, to enable more women to obtain leadership positions and career advancements, and then to support female-led entrepreneur businesses and develop profitable businesses in partnerships. And so from July 2016, we brought that organization to South Africa and created the WIT Network South Africa. And there, what we would really like to see is linking up with all the organizations that there currently are. There's Women in Tech and Girls in Tech and all of that. And everyone has their own identity. And we want to just sync up with people and get more and more partnerships and organizations working together. So that is who Women in Tech, what the Women in Tech Network is. And our purpose is threefold. Just so that you all know why you're here today, is we've got a self-development focus. We are trying to create an environment that has effective knowledge sharing and networking opportunities, learning opportunities, so that people can expand and grow and learn. The second purpose is to enable the next generations of young women to enter this field. And like I say to everybody all the time, we all are in the technology space, regardless of what your job is. So I'm an HR specialist. We've got accountants, we've got marketing and design. That doesn't matter. You are all in the technology space. And in fact, as of March 26th this year, regardless of what your job is, you really are in the technology space, because for the last 5 months, whatever it is you were doing, you've had to do using technology. So we're trying to enable more young girls and women to get into this space through upskilling, mentoring, and work experience opportunities. And the third pillar is the leadership development and empowering women to take up leadership. And this is through diversity and inclusion, through opportunities, through sponsorships and mentoring in the workplace. And we're trying to create an environment here with the WIT Network where we can help everybody, all the members, to work together to create a depth of membership, so that we've got more and more people. When we first started, I think our first WIT meeting was 8 people. And in the first year, we gradually got to 20, and then we managed to double, and now we're sitting at 170 people. So it's fantastic, but we want to keep driving that membership. Creating connections, job opportunities, networking, advancement, learning, etc. Providing speakers, potential speakers, with an opportunity to share your insights and ideas. And then to drive diversity and inclusion. This is something that we are all very passionate about. You wouldn't be here if you weren't passionate about diversity and inclusion. And it's something that we all need to work towards. And so that is what the Women in Technology Network South Africa is about. And we are looking at how can we include our members more. So from the most recent registration, we have 15 ladies that have put their hands up to speak, which is really exciting. So I'll be getting in contact with you shortly and plan what your topics are going to be. And then we have close on 20 companies who put their hands up to host, which is great, because then you don't have to always have me hosting. It's always nice to have somebody else. But yeah, I think that's really what the purpose of today is. And so just some FYI is all of our sessions are recorded, and my fantastic brains behind this operation is Karika, and she's set up an awesome Google account for us so that we can load our recordings onto YouTube. So we have a YouTube channel. I'll share the link in the chat. But we also, most importantly, have our LinkedIn page, which is where I want to direct all of you. If you haven't yet joined us, please do, because a lot of the information is shared there. And keep inviting people and put your hands up, and most importantly, engage. So this afternoon, as I said, we have got 6 speakers, and the focus that we're going to be talking about, and I've asked each of them to share, is the impact of specific WIT-related initiatives. So there WIT means women in technology, not necessarily humor and kindness, but they could be the same thing sometimes. And the point of this is for all of you on this call, and then going forward, is to see the impact that initiatives like this have in sharing this knowledge, because you're going to hear something today that's going to be like, hey, wait, I want to get involved in that, or I want to roll something like that out in my organization. You may be looking for an organization to partner with. Sometimes it's much easier if somebody else has done all the groundwork already, and then you can jump on board and just give critical mass. Or you may have a really, really awesome idea and you just don't know what to do with it or how to get it started. And I really want to encourage you to use this platform, this environment, to do that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker. She's a long-time WIT member and an absolute saint. And Zandile founded an organization called Girl Code. I got to know about Girl Code about 3 years ago, and Mint has been a partner in their annual Girl Code Hackathon, which is run in the beginning of every August, which is the highlight of the year in terms of exposure and excitement. But I think what is really, really powerful is the stuff that Zandile really gets to, the grassroots of girls in the community getting exposed to technology, you know. And I think what she has done as the CEO of Girl Code has been phenomenal. I see that she hasn't included her awards here, but if you go onto her LinkedIn page, you'll see that she's been recognized for her achievements and for what she's done as in Girl Code. And I think that's really, really powerful. So I'm going to, Zandile, are you happy to present from your side? Okay, so here we go. There's Zandile, and I'm going to turn off my camera too. Take it away, Zandile, and just remember, mute or not mute.
Thank you so much. Let me just share my screen. All right. Thank you, Lauren. whenever people introduce me, I get a bit shy, and I think it's something that we need to get over as women. Just own our awesomeness. So thank you very much, and again, appreciate all the support. So for those on the call that don't know me, my name is Zandile Mkhwanazi, and I am the CEO of Girl Code. So the statement I have here is that the future is female. And I think for the longest time, without even consciously knowing it, I've always believed that the future is indeed female. When I was 23 years old, just fresh out of varsity and like excited about what the world has to offer, and I started my first job at a startup. I quickly realized, I'm a tech startup, I quickly realized the lack of diversity, the lack of women, and that kind of prompted me to start Girl Code. I wanted to create a safe space where young girls and women felt like they could belong and create and bring in their ideas and their innovation. And so that's how Girl Code started. So I want to jump into some of the impact stories, and I want to zone in mostly in 2020 because it's been a tough year, as you can imagine, for almost all organizations, especially for a nonprofit organization, where a lot of companies have had budget cuts, have had to let go of employees, and so again, as a nonprofit, relying on these partnerships. It's always difficult when companies can't come on board even though they want to. But again, we are also appreciative of those that are able to come on board. So we'll start with the hackathon, which is one of our biggest events that we have in the year. And this is kind of the origin story of Girl Code. When we started, I initially conceptualized an all-female hackathon where different, university female students could come together and build amazing apps, amazing web apps and applications that could potentially change the world, right? And so this year, we had the hackathon. It had to go virtual because obviously COVID, and we couldn't do it physical. And as you can see here, living in South Africa, load shedding happened on that weekend. So a lot of our participants were severely affected by load shedding, and couldn't continue for the longest time, the 4 hours where they were cut off. Battery laptops died. So it is really challenging, but I think, the thing that I took away from it is that these girls didn't give up. Even though, they had all these challenges, they kept pushing, they kept, figuring out, okay, if electricity is going for the next 4 hours, then I need to, kind of work on paper and then get back to it when electricity comes back. And one of the teams that was also affected by load shedding, which is I think a really great success story. They built a bot to tackle gender-based violence, which we all know is one of the other pandemic that we're going through as women in South Africa, and they actually won. So this is one of the teams that didn't have electricity for 4 hours. Their laptops all died, but at the end of it, they stuck to it and they ended up winning the whole thing. And what's more amazing is the opportunity that they got after winning. And that, as you can see on the slide there, basically the presidency approached Girl Code and said, look, we're looking to do something to tackle gender-based violence, but we want the solutions to come from young girls and young women. We want them to be the architect of their own solutions. We don't want to impose things on them. And so the winning team was in fact given. I think there's feedback from someone. So the winning team was given the opportunity to then build the WhatsApp bot. They to continue on building it, which will be announced by the president and officially launched in the country. So when we talk impact, I think it's always important to look beyond just numbers. I think there's it's easy to just say, oh, we had 200 participants, but for me, what does that really mean for the individual? When you dig deeper into, how did this event change people's lives? I think this is kind of what we mean by impact. So one of the other things is Carol. Carol actually didn't, and I wish I got a screen grab. Carol's laptop broke down, and her keyboard stopped working, so she had to use a virtual keyboard. And part of the winning package was a laptop. She was so grateful, and I think that talks to, again, how these type of events are meant to change people's lives. As much as it's fun and it's exciting, what really comes out of it is what we can do to change someone's lives and make them, get opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have. So that's our hackathon. Another sort of, really great event that we were able to run and pivot because of COVID is parent and child coding classes online. And this has been really, really exciting and really fun, especially for the kids. So these are like kids that are being introduced to coding for the first time. So we've partnered with a couple of companies where, because most people were at home, most parents were at home, and having a 1-year-old, I know, they always want your attention. So we thought, let's introduce 1 hour of coding, where parents could then, spend some time with their kid and learn something that is fun. So we had parent and child coding classes, and we've hosted it with a couple of companies. And, a lot of the parents' feedback has been that, now their kids want to learn about coding. They want to know what is this exciting world. And you do it in such a way that it's very interactive. It's very fun, but they're still learning the underlining skill sets of, being logical. How do you solve problems? How do you think about, solving or creating algorithms? So again, I think we have had over 100, kids being introduced to coding for the first time, and that couldn't have happened also without our partners, which is what I love about what we do at Go Code. And then another sort of impact that we've had that I want to highlight is our virtual internships. So, it could have been easy for us to say, well, COVID has hit, companies are closed, there's really nothing that we can do on our side. But we've decided to have virtual internship opportunities where we've taken final year students and placed them into companies for a week. And this is actually phenomenal because a lot of the feedback that we get from companies is that when someone applies, you see their CV, but they don't have anything beyond what they've studied in university. And so, what that means is that it's very difficult to distinguish someone, like one CV from the next. So with our virtual internships, the girls actually have an opportunity to work within a company for a week, work on a project, work on a team. And the interesting thing, feedback that we got from one of the companies was that now the girls can actually say they have remote work experience, which is something that would have never happened in the past. And actually, when you think about it, in the future, being able to work remotely is a skill set that you need to be able to have, and you need to be able to prove that you can work remotely. So these are like our first batch with the virtual internships, and I think now they have a skill set that I would say most other graduates probably won't have. So yeah, this is for me, kind of what Go Code represents, and that is real opportunities for young women out there, making sure that we give them access to companies, access to mentors, access to opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have had. And so another one, which is Mercy, and she was actually one of our winners from 2018, one of our hackathon winners, and she then, part of another partnership that we had, got employed in the UK as part of like 8 girls that got employed in the UK. So here she is living her best life in the UK, and she's then opening up a Go Code chapter because she emailed us and said, what you guys have done for us is so amazing. I'm a rural girl who grew up in Limpopo, and I never in my wildest dream thought that living in the UK was even a possibility for someone like me, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And so one of the big thing, which again is the multiplier effect of when you empower one girl, you actually empower whole communities, is that you'll be opening up a UK Gold Code chapter, looking at how do we reach young girls also that are living in the UK, and how do we start exchange programs where some of our students could go to the UK and vice versa, where UK students can come to South Africa. And that's what I love, I guess, about women, the whole, wanting to give it back, and community, building communities. So that's just like a bit of, some of the programs that we've run and some of the impacts that Girl Code has had. And this is just this year. So I didn't want to like go back too far, since I didn't have too much time. But I also wanted to talk about some of the tips of how we encourage our Girl Coders to build successful careers within the tech space. And one of the things I always tell them is just to be yourself. For the longest time, women, we've had to act like men. We've had to embody, traits that are not necessarily authentic to us. And I always say, be yourself, show up as your authentic true self, and the world will open up for you. Opportunities will open up. And the second thing is, you have to know your stuff. Being in the tech world, it's a very fast-paced, very like changing rapidly, and you have to know what you're talking about. You have to have, the latest skills, and you don't necessarily have to be an expert, but you have to know, especially within your industry, what are the latest trends and what is the technology that you need to be learning. And then taking up opportunities. I think, as women, we tend to like hold back, and I don't want to be like, painting all women with the same brush, but the stats are there to prove it. Majority of women, like, you want things to be 100% before you take that particular opportunity, and I'm guilty of that myself. So I always tell them, take the opportunity. Another girl, Tisetso, who is now also living in the UK, she had said to me that, she wasn't actually going to enter the hackathon because she had entered the previous year and didn't win. So you never know when the moment is right for you, and you will never know if you don't take, every opportunity given to you. And then finding a mentor, I think, and that's what, organizations like this are so important, not just Girl Code, but the WIT Network. This is where you can find mentors. I've connected with so many amazing women here, some who I consider mentors, even if they don't know it. So being a mentor doesn't mean you have to go to someone and say, be my mentor, but just following them on social media, seeing what they're doing, seeing how they're doing it, and try and follow in their footsteps. And then I think networking is so important. You have to network. You have to network online. You have to network on social media. You have to network in person. And I heard Lauren talking about golf, even though I'm not a golf person, but you have to find ways to network. And sometimes it means figuring out what works for us as women. Hiking. There's like now women in tech hiking group that I saw on social media that I'm like, okay, I'm going to join because I want to network, but I want to do it in a way that is fun for me. So that's kind of like what Girl Code is all about, and how we empower our young girls to hopefully, become leaders in the tech space. Because everywhere you look, girls are being told, that they can't. If you look at movies, if you look at, social media, it's always about, guys and what they're building. And I think I'd like to invite all of you to join us as we show all of them that, yes, they can. So thank you. Please do connect with me. You can find me on social media and follow Girl Code everywhere. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Zandile. That was just looking at the comments. I can see just how much people have thoroughly enjoyed that. And I think I think what you have showed us is just that it can be done. And I think that's what's really fantastic. So thank you very much. I don't know if any of the ladies have any questions. Anybody want to ask something? Anybody want, I mean, Zandile did share her contact details, but you can also find her on LinkedIn, and you're welcome to contact her here and ask her questions or get connected and see how you can partner with her. Anybody, everybody fine? You good? You're welcome to just start speaking or to use the raise your hand function or to write it down. But I see a lot of you have made beautiful comments about just how inspirational it is. Okay, so here's a question, Zandile. Kelly Pierre's asking, how can companies or individuals join and support the Girl Code program?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And one of the things I actually didn't, I wanted to mention was, last year, the WIT Network, as we usually like give when we meet in person, just like 20 rands or whatever's in your wallet, and we were the recipient of the accumulation at the end of the year, because, for example, our Girl Coder Club program, which focuses on young girls learning coding, costs like 1,625 rand per child. So companies can get involved by sponsoring, young girls to go through our program. Like Lauren said, Mint has been a sponsor of the Girl Code Hackathon, and as individuals, we welcome volunteers into the organization. We have also a donation program. So actually, people who requested from us, we were quite surprised that people are willing to do this, where, people like, I can set up like a 50 Rand debit order to go every month to support your organization. That, so stuff like that. I think there's different ways. Do connect with me on LinkedIn. Usually I'm very active there, and we can chat a bit more about that. Yeah.
Awesome. Marianne, you had your hand up. I'm not sure if it's still up. Did you still have a question?
Yes, I was just about to type. I wanted to know how many times a year do the hackathons take place, and where can we find information? Like, where can we know like it's about to happen so that we can join? Thank you.
Yeah, so it happens once a year. I think our social media is pretty much like where we post a lot of our activities, and I'll just type on the side there when I'm done, and our website. That's where you can find out everything that we're doing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Zandi. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Lauren, and thank you for your support over the past couple of years. It's been amazing. It's phenomenal, and just having like women like yourself, even Natasha, I didn't mention, but we collaborated because I met her here, and she supported. Yeah, she supported me, and we're looking at other ways to work together. So this is a fantastic network. Really, really glad to be part of it, and being part of women that don't just talk about women empowerment, but actually, do women empowerment. I think that's what's exciting about it. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, ladies. So next up, we have a very, very interesting lady, Lisa. I met Lisa, about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And Lisa is also one of those angels that walks the earth. She founded Ekukanyeni Relief Project 15 or 16 years ago. And this organization is based in Lawley. Some of you might know where Lawley is. If you're driving down the N1 and you go through the Grasmere toll gate, you take that off ramp and then still drive for another 15 minutes and you'll come across Lawley, which is a forgotten little corner of Gauteng. And over the last 15 years, she's partnered with the community and established 16 early childhood development centers in Lawley, which cater to a very impoverished community. And Lisa did this with her full heart because she understood that the process was more than just educating children, but it was ensuring that they could learn. And so she partnered her education with food security. So all these creches have food gardens and the main office supports them. And so this powerful partnership with the community has seen these beautiful faces being positively impacted by Lisa and her staff and the organizations and what she does. So Lisa, welcome this afternoon. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us. This is again another opportunity for all of you on the call to learn about what the impact of education has on a community, and in particular the women in that community, and why we do these things and how we can do them. So Lisa, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thanks very much, Lauren. And gosh, I'm feeling so blessed to be invited and to be a part of such a beautiful circle of females. So thank you. Zandila, I really loved what you said about if you empower one girl, you empower a community. And I think that's the story of Ekhukanyeni. We empower women, we empower the youth, females, and by doing that, we can see how that spills over to the whole of the community and brings about upliftment in that way. You know, there's in informal settlements, there's no real, you know, that in a startup community, there's no real kinship bonds that exist. So our programs and mentoring and upskilling and empowering the women have really brought about a social cohesion in the community that wasn't there before. So as Lauren said, I founded Ekhukanyeni in 2005, and I was a diplomat, and my mother got ill and from cancer. I nursed her for a year, and that kind of changed my whole outlook on life. And I started volunteering in very impoverished communities and working specifically with children with HIV or infected with HIV and AIDS. And I came across Lawley, and as Lauren says, it's an informal settlement and very marginalized community. And while I was doing work there with the kiddies, I just saw this tremendous need for you know, something more sustainable to be put into place. All the children were on the streets, and there was no real opportunities for skills development for the women, no early learning opportunities for the children, and even the families were so fragmented. So I founded Ekhukanyeni, and I started actually before that. Sorry, let me back up a little bit. Before that, I actually stayed in the community for a couple of months because I wanted to really be accepted by the community, and also just to see what that community needed and where the gaps were. So I basically did an informal needs analysis, and at that time I had no clue about strategic plans and business proposals or anything like that, because my background was more on diplomacy and partnering agreements and that between countries. So I stayed there for a few months and got to know the community leaders and the women in the community and what their aspirations were, and all of them, mostly all of them that I came across, they were so wanting of doing something for the children. So I started partnering then with ECD centers, so existing shack type structures that mamas had basically put in place, and then they were really not very formalized at all. The children were sleeping on the floor with no, actually dust floors, and no real infrastructure in the ECD centers. So started off with that, and then we then took it further, you know, because most of the women there is very patriarchal society. The women are either single or left alone with their husbands away, or things like that. So they became their breadwinners for their families. And I really saw a niche there. So with our program of early childhood development, we helped the centers and we helped the women that are the owners, the operators, to actually become registered. So with the local municipality to operate as centers, and then with Department of Social Development to receive grants So we've been looking at upskilling these women entrepreneurs, basically emerging entrepreneurs, to run their own social enterprises and really running the ECD centers as profitable businesses. And in so doing, these ECD centers have then grown in size and have allowed more employment for women in the community. So all the staff in the ECD centers are women. And so this whole, I guess, this whole era of women being employed by the ECD centers came into being. So now we have 16 ECD centers. And what we do with the women is we upskill them in different ways. One of them is to be educators. A team of ECD ladies who actually we've trained up in the community to actually run with the program. And then they actually run training sessions for the women. So we look at about 34 women a year that we train up for grade R and grade Naught educators. And within that, we have mentoring and coaching sessions for the women on a weekly basis. And doing that, we've been able to educate about 550 children a year. We've reached almost 12,000 kids to date, so that's really been wonderful. And over and above this, we have a unique incentive and award system in place. So many times the operators haven't really been able to provide a really high salary for the women. So we've come in with incentives and awards, and this has been an amazing thing to see, because the women have become so empowered in their roles as educators for the children that there's such a united spirit that exists among them. And I think it was last year we held an award ceremony at the end of the year. And one of our funders, actually Trevor from Mint, he said he couldn't believe he couldn't believe the spirit of unity that was in the room when we were giving the awards. And he says he's only really seen that in corporate companies. So I really felt proud of that, because I know that by doing all of this for the women, mentoring them, empowering them, providing them with the opportunities to be ECD practitioners, to be educators, that it's really turned their life around. And in so doing, the community itself has grown and has been uplifted. So the whole of the early childhood development sphere has been empowered. That whole concept has basically been empowered in the community of Lawley. So this has also spilled over to the mothers of the children, because there's many mothers at home alone with the children, and they are so much more involved with the kids now. So we also do accredited ETDP CETA level 4 training for the caregivers or the women in the ECD centers. We also look to pull from other forgotten, marginalized communities in Region G, and we have been educating 30 women a year. So either they're in the ECD space already, or they aspire to be ECD practitioners. So they do all their practical hours in the ECD centers that we care for, and we then place them afterwards in ECD centers, either in Lawley or in the surrounding communities. So our ECD program, as Lauren said, it also blends in with our food security program. We're Agri-CETA accredited, and food garden representatives are trained up from the ECD centers. So a few of our centers have food gardens. We have 2 hubs. And what is really fantastic about our program, if I may blow my own trumpet, is that we have a very special 2-day health promotion and nutrition training that we cognized with WIT University, and that really works with the food garden. So the learners and the women are trained, the cooks of the ECD centers are trained to take the vegetables and the medicinal plants and the herbs from their gardens. They learn how to cook with them. They learn about the macro and micronutrients in the plants. So in that way, it's just quite fantastic to see this whole holistic blend of activities where the gardens supply the children with really organic. We do organic growing with organic vegetables. So in a sense, I guess we really give women in our community the sense of self, a life's purpose. We provide them with career opportunities, and I think it's just wonderful that women are now able to feed and clothe their children and their extended families, and at the same time they're also able to educate and care for the little ones. So it's for me, it's a beautiful combination. So yes, they really are definitely bold and definitely fearless.
Thank you, Lisa. It's amazing to hear this. So just for everybody who's just listened to Lisa's story, the reason why I wanted Lisa to share her story with us is because when we talk about the impact that we're having, as Zandile already stated this, you know, when we make a difference to a woman's life, you're making a difference to a bigger circle, and they are part of a community, family, and that type of thing, and it makes a huge difference. And so we have partnered with Ekukanyeni for the last 3 years, and the purpose for us partnering is we have a goal of growing a Minty. So we want to empower the kids that are going to Lisa's early childhood development centres so that they are prepped and ready to go into formal education from grade 1. And by the time they come out at matric, our goal is that they will actually one day join us as a junior developer or consultant or project manager. So we want to grow a Minty. But to Lisa's point, and I'm busy, she really doesn't blow her own trumpet enough. I have to just say, Lisa, you could definitely do that some more. But I've just, you'll see shortly in the chat, I'm busy sharing the latest report from Ekukanyeni, because I think it's really important, as I mentioned earlier, you know, if we're talking about impact, we want to create a massive impact, and creating an impact through education and food security, partnering those while empowering the woman in the community is a sustainable impact. So Lisa, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Lisa while we've still got her up there? Is there anybody who wants to ask anything? Otherwise, her contact details are in the report that I've just shared, so you are welcome to reach out to her. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, let me know. Let me check if anybody's got their hands up. Are you all good? Okay, so the details are there. Please reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, yeah, we're going to move on now. So thank you so much, Lisa.
Thanks, Lauren.
Okay. Okay, ladies. So our next up we have Nicole joining us all the way from Cape Town. Hello, Nicole.
Hi, it would help if I had my mic off.
So Nicole is one of the board members of Girls in Tech South Africa, and some of my colleagues have partnered with her down in the Cape. And as this is WIT South Africa, we want to understand the impact that's happening around the country, not just here in Gauteng. So thank you very much for joining us, Nicole, and I'm going to hand over to you to present shortly, but in front of us, everyone be able to see Nicole's bio. So she's been in the industry long enough to be be able to make a huge impact, which is really, really fantastic. So Nicole, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and I'm going to hand over the presentation to you.
Great, thank you so much for that introduction, and it's a pleasure to be in the company of so many amazing women, and the first two speakers actually really blew my mind. It's amazing how much we can do when we're doing it together. So it's a pleasure to be here and to share with you what we at Girls in Tech have been doing for the last few months, or what's happened during 2020. So I'm from an organization called Girls in Tech, and it's actually a global organization. It was founded back in 2007 in the US by a woman by the name of Adriana Gascoigne, and with the simple aim to eliminate the gender gap in tech, and that is through empowerment of women and education. And since 2007, the organization has grown to across 6 continents, 37 countries, and there's more than 60,000 members globally. One of those 50 chapters that exist today is the Girls in Tech South Africa chapter. We're very new. We've only really established ourselves in the beginning of this year. And due to our national lockdown that happened in the beginning of April, we were unable to have our fancy launch cocktail party, much to the sadness of all the extroverts on the advisory board. But nonetheless, we could still make it work. With the power of technology, we could make it work and kick off a few of our initiatives that we felt really passionate about. So for us, we are passionate about the tech industry, and we stand for diversity and inclusivity. And I think there's a lot of synergies with women in tech, and also the first two speakers around what our goals and our aims are. And so we want to support women by providing them access and giving them a community for them to be able to succeed. So as I said, we really very new, only established ourselves this year. We are in the process of setting up our NPO. We've set up our structures, we've got our constitution already in place, and along with the other 7 board members, we are at the moment all in Cape Town, but we want to be able to have our reach as far as wide as Johannesburg, all around South Africa. So just to share with you what we've been able to do in this short time, the first big initiative that we were able to kick off was our mentorship program. And here the aim was that it would be open to everybody in South Africa who was looking to upskill, was looking to make connections, lasting connections, and build a professional community. And the program would last for 12 weeks. It started in the beginning of June. It would last for 12 weeks with a set curriculum, which we kind of planned that each week has a different theme, and between the mentor and the mentee, they could establish what their goals are for the program, but that they had a structure with which they could conduct their sessions each week. And so through the marketing communication for the program, we were able to assign 36 mentees to 31 mentors, which was a really fantastic outcome for us for our first big event. And here, the mentors and mentees were then able to connect via Zoom chats and kick off their journey, which actually ends this week as the final week in our program. And we've had such amazing feedback that really just makes all the hard work in getting the program set up and establishing all the, getting through the admin of connecting and matching mentees and mentors. It was really rewarding to get feedback where they said, wow, what a great match, and I love my mentor, I love my mentee, and that they're enjoying the program and getting such reward from the program because it's giving them food for thought. We even had some of our mentees have a change of career, which is really good, because we want to be able to be that catalyst for people to take risks. So really we felt that the mentorship program was such a highlight that we're definitely going to try to run 2 each year going forward. So we'll finish off this this week with our 12-week program, and then prepare for another program starting in February next year, and then try to run 2 each year. And I think it will be great if there's any interested mentees or mentors on the call today. If you want to be part of the initiative, we would really love you to reach out to us and let us know if it's something that you want to be part of. Then the second initiative that we kicked off was something called the Rebel Stories. And this really was born from the Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. And it's a collection of 100 stories, authentic stories about women who could be role models for young girls. And we took that concept and extended it to Rebel Stories, where it's stories about authentic women in tech who can inspire others through their own journeys or some of their struggles. And so thus far we've done 4 which we've published onto our social media sites, but 1 will be launched I think the end of this week or next week. So far it's almost 400 views of our Rebel Stories, and we found that the response to the stories, when you've got a speaker who comes across quite authentic and there's it can resonate with the community, we found that the response there has been amazing around what they learned from those stories. Then just some other things we've done is we were able to provide our members with free access to conferences. So because we're part of a global organization, it's great to be able to leverage off some international conferences which we could share with our members. So 5 conferences we could share with them to attend for free. Then we were able to give 2 of our members agile training with the service provider. That was 2 seats to a training course. And then at the beginning of lockdown, Old Mutual, which is one of our partners, was able to give us 10 free seats to attend a Stress for Success workshop, which was hosted by a coach called Nershin Pillay, and he was doing studies into how to manage stress and anxiety in the event of a crisis like COVID. And so this was really at the beginning of lockdown, and 10 of our members were able to attend the workshop. So that is, all of this is really made possible through partnerships and having a great network. And I think that is one of our main aims, is to continuously grow our membership base so we can have a broad reach, but to also build on our partnership community, because without them we weren't able to do any of these initiatives. Thank you.
Nicole, thank you so much. Flip, you guys have done so much in such a short time. Claire, I know you're on the call, and do you want to quickly say something?
Hi everyone. No, I think just to echo what you said, Lauren. I think it's been a very eventful 5 months. We've so I think we've got an incredibly dynamic board. We all love what we do, and I think we all leverage off each other's strengths, which helps. But obviously for us, it's also about expanding our reach, as Nicole said. So if anyone in Johannesburg would like to pick up and run with something similar, to run like a Johannesburg arm on the Girls in Tech, we're absolutely open to it. If anyone wants to get involved in our mentorship program, we're absolutely looking for more people to get involved. Yeah, I think with all of our initiatives, it's really about working as a community.
And you guys have got a LinkedIn group, hey?
We've got Nicole, you probably know this better than me. We've got LinkedIn. I think we've got a Facebook page as well.
Can you just drop your, Claire or Nicole, will you just drop your those pages details into the chat, please, so people can just click on them straight away and sync up with you?
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's really, for me, the mentoring part, is so important, because I think, as Zandile mentioned, you don't realize, in some cases, you might not realize that you are somebody's mentor. It's just the way that they are observing you, and following you and that type of thing. So I think it's really wonderful for everybody on this call to know that there are more formal ways that you can get involved. So please reach out to Nicole or to Claire. You can either reach out here or they're going to drop all the connections into the chat now. But thank you, ladies, really well done. That's flippin' impressive. And again, another, you know, between the three speakers that have just spoken, you wouldn't have thought that we'd just been going through a global pandemic, because you all seem to have taken 2020 by the horns and achieved a hell of a lot. So well done.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren, and thanks for the opportunity to present today.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. Okay, ladies, so the first of our three speakers, as you could see, was with regards to organizations and the impact those organizations have had. And then I then reached out to two of our WIT members who have been with WITs between them, I think, 2 or 3 years already, so they know the lay of the land quite well. In fact, they've both spoken at events before. And I asked them today to speak, so we're going to kick off with the First Lady. And I asked them to speak about the impact that a career in technology has had on their lives. So here we're getting some first-hand experience back to us. So our first lady speaker up, that was not great English, sorry, I've got like a thick tongue. Our first speaker up is Jackie. She's a woman in technology her whole career. And Jackie has spoken before at our WIT event. In fact, she was one of our Disrupt WIT speakers in the beginning of the year. I love how she describes herself. So if you look in the middle of the slide, she's an automagic architect. And this is why you need to work in technology, because those kind of job titles make absolute sense. When you work in technology, that's like, yes, absolutely. A master's student, a mentor, a blogger, and a lover of unicorns. Well, that tells you everything you need to know, Jax. So Jax, I'm going to hand over to you now, and thank you very much for joining us.
Perfect. Thanks, Lauren. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Great. My Teams is doing the same yours was doing earlier, so I'm just trying to find presentation screen. I'm sharing now. Please just let me know when you're able to see.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay, so like as Lauren has mentioned, on the 22nd of January, I was afforded the opportunity to address this forum, and actually quite a few of you ladies that were there at the Disrupt event that was held at Microsoft. And it was a massive milestone in my career. It was something I was truly humbled by. And I took that opportunity to speak about the different types of diversity that occur in the work environments, and, you know, how as we individuals can be more diverse and inclusive of each one of them. Now, one of the aspects that I touched on but didn't, you know, fully capture was age. And I think that's an additional challenge that women in technology face. So I thought that it would be quite fitting for me to, you know, briefly walk through my journey as a young woman in tech. So good afternoon, ladies. As Lauren has mentioned, my name is Jackie Miller. I am 24 years old and I'm an automation architect. I am a young woman in tech, as I like to introduce myself, and this is my story. So I've learned to always take on things that I've never done before. Growth and comfort do not coexist. I think Jenny Rometti had a very great point when she raised this, because when we are committed to growth, we do things that put us at risk. And I think throughout my career, this is something that, you know, I related to on a very deep level, but I never actually realized it until I saw it in somebody else's words. And this has gone on to inspire, you know, a very large part of my career. Now, one of my core aims along my own journey in technology is to mentor young ladies who find themselves in a space of tech and don't really know what their purpose is, or, you know, where they can put themselves, you know, in tech. So my purpose is to try to help them find that purpose and that place. So in doing this, I often share words of wisdom that were passed on to me, and I'd like to share some of those words of wisdom, or the best advice that I ever got was on as well as some of my lessons that I've learned as well. So the first point, and arguably the most important in my case, is ELI 5, which stands for Explain Like I'm 5. And this took me a good amount of time to figure out, what it meant and how to implement it. And the conclusion that I came to is that you're never too old to believe in abstract concepts like unicorns, as long as you're able to articulate it in a way that your entire audience understands. The next one is that it takes a whole village to foster talent, and I think this is something that has become quite apparent today. I think we've got a lot of leaders in this space, and I think it's great because I think this is, where our power lies. Some people are lucky enough to have their talent fostered by more than one village. I'm one of those people. I've been quite lucky to find myself in multiple environments that are just itching to help young people grow and, teach them things about new opportunities and just, help them make the best of themselves. And I'm grateful for the way that, the older generations have paved for us. I think it's made a lot of the challenges that we face today a lot easier on us, even though, there are always going to be some things that we need to face as well. Now, with that being said, I think my personal opinion around all of this is that having more women in technology makes these types of environments so much more nurturing. Being exposed to this level of support and motivation and always knowing the impact that it has definitely been a highlight in my career. And it has highlighted the importance of this aspect on my journey, being able to create or at least be part of these types of villages for other young individuals. The next point is to make the most of every opportunity that you get. And I think this is also something that keeps coming through with the different speakers that we've had today. If you find yourself in a space where you get bored, I found myself there quite a few times as well. Go out, find something that you enjoy, something that excites you, and make the best of every opportunity that you get. Even if it means a pivoting career, it's definitely something worth considering, and sometimes, or in my case at least, the benefits outweigh the risk by far. The world, as we know it, is ever changing, and I think it ties in quite nicely to what Jenny was saying. Growth and comfort do not coexist, and it's something that we're kind of going to have to adapt to. The next one, which is actually one of my favorite sayings, it's not a bad day, it's a character building day. Then the next and the last point on the slide is that we need to recognize the efforts of a job well done. Dimension Data has this amazing strategy. I really think it's great. It's a recognition platform that allows employees to recognize one another for work that is well done in alignment with organizations' values. And I know that LinkedIn has a very similar thing going with their Kudos initiative. Now, over the last few months, I've come to realize what the impact is on morale if you recognize someone for their good work. It motivates them and inspires them to keep doing the great work that they're doing, because in their mind, they're getting something back for it. And it's amazing to see people grow when you recognize those talents and, the efforts that they're putting in. And this is a principle that I've started applying outside of work as well. And I think I believe quite strongly that if we as a collective start doing this, we'll start contributing to a more positive society, which I think after a pandemic, we all kind of need at this point. So most of the advice and the points that I've just shared are attributed to, or at least an indirect result of one single opportunity that came my way, and very easily became the greatest success story that I love sharing with people. It most certainly is the reason why I am in tech and why I have the wonderful opportunity of presenting today. I'll elaborate on that in a bit, but let me tell you more about this opportunity first. So this opportunity has touched many lives. It's known as the Northwest University Geekspo competition. It's an annual competition that's hosted by Northwest University on the Vaal Triangle campus in Vanderbilt Park. And essentially one of the competitions is a high school PAT competition. And what this entails is allowing high school IT students to enroll their school practical projects into a competition where a set of judges or a panel of judges judge these projects and then place them first, second, or third, where they can get prizes and really nice things. In the matric category, the people who place first, second, or third receive a bursary to study IT at Northwest University. Now, the reason I've told you about all of this, I think it's a fantastic initiative. It's one that's very close to my heart. But when I came to deciding what career path I should take and what I wanted to study just before leaving high school, I was faced with two distinct options. The first one was to study political science at the University of Pretoria with the hope of being able to pursue a career in softball. And the second was to study IT at Northwest University. So my matric year came and I enrolled my practical project in the competition, same way as I'd done the previous 2 years, and I managed to place within the top 3, resulting in me getting a bursary to study IT at Northwest University. So I moved on to do my Bachelor my Bachelor of Science degree in IT at Northwest University, Voltron campus, as I've mentioned, in Vanderbilt. And while I was studying, I took the opportunity to try kickstart my career with a few part-time employment opportunities. I managed to finish my degree third in the top 3 of my class with distinction. So that's something that I was quite proud of going into the workforce, because just after I'd completed my degree, I decided that I wanted to continue with my honors while doing a full-time job, or while having a full-time job the same year. So just after I'd finished my undergraduate degree, I managed to secure my first full-time job at Bright House as a junior application developer. And like I mentioned, as a crazy person, I decided to do my full-time honors degree that same year. And it was really challenging. I mean, I think it was a mental battle, it was an emotional battle, and the part that made it very difficult was that many people said to me I wouldn't be able to balance work and studies, especially not both having both in a full-time capacity. It was long and strenuous hours. I mean, I studied in Vanderbilt Park, I lived in Alberton, and I worked in Bryanston. So, you know, it's up early mornings, get to work so that you can leave early, so that you can go to class at night, so that you can come back home and the next morning just do it all over again. And it got to me some days. It was a really tough process, but luckily I had people around, you know, who kept me sane. I almost said insane. Who kept me sane and on the right path. And I managed to finish my honors degree. I managed to finish it with distinction. And I think the greatest achievement of mine in my academia history is that I managed to finish at top of my class. It's not something that I generally share with people, but it's something that I am very, very proud of. After that, I decided to take a year away from academia and focus more on my career. And I learned many priceless lessons during that time. I started to understand the importance of having people around. And although I was lucky enough to be surrounded by many women in tech, my age was something that people decided to wallow on. And I'll be the first to admit that I don't know everything. I still have a lot to learn and a lot of experience that I need to still gather. But I do feel quite strongly about individuals who are undermined because of their age, both young and old. So this year, whoopsie, there goes a slide, go back. Sorry, technical difficulties. This year, I am doing my master's in computer science at Northwest University, and it is all indirectly impacted by my decision to partake in Geekspo and to take the bursary opportunity to study IT. For that reason, Geekspo is an initiative that remains very close to my heart. It has helped foster talents of all ages and aspects of STEM, and it gives all individuals an opportunity just to affirm that they know something. You know, it's at least a start. It's something that they can bowl onto to go into a career in tech. And I think that's the important part, because if you look at this event has been going for 8 years. This is the 8th year that it'll be running. And I was fortunate enough to partake in the first annual Geekspo. And 7 years later, I'm still very heavily invested, and I'm still involved to make sure that other young women and other young individuals have the same opportunities in this regard that I did. And of the 8 events that have been around, I've managed to partake in 5 of them as a participant. For 5 other years, I've been a project coordinator, and for 3 years, I've been a judge, which has been a tremendous help in, you know, seeing how people are fostered, the skills that they have, and how we can take that into the industry of tech. The passion that I have for Geekspo has taught me what I want to and need to be in a mentor. Especially for young individuals making their way into tech. And I'm just very, very fortunate that I've been able to stay involved in Geekspo alongside my full-time job, even though they've managed to overlap once or twice, which is also quite nice for young individuals. Now, just to give you a little bit of background into my previous occupations, both voluntary and not. While I was doing my final year of my undergraduate degree, I was presented with an opportunity to volunteer as an instructor for software and data carpentry, which is now known as the Carpentries. I did some freelance work for Young Innovations and CSR as a freelance graphic designer and vacation worker, respectively. I also presented supplemental instruction, or SI lessons, to the Northwest University students, where I now from time to time do guest lectures. And I think a very important aspect of all of this is that a few of the skills that I use to do my job today weren't acquired through any of the degrees that I've done or am doing. They came from opportunities that I had to kind of go through or take on apart from my studies. And a good example of that is the data analytics skills that I acquired. I actually learned how to use Python through going through the carpentry's lesson prep. I had to learn how to use these technologies so that I could present instruction workshops so that other people could learn how to use it as well. So for this reason, the first piece of advice that I offer to any university student that comes to me for mentorship is that you need to upskill on technologies that aren't being taught within the degree curriculum. As I mentioned previously, our world is changing really quickly, and it's changing a lot faster than most of our curriculums can keep up with. Now, as I've mentioned before, my first full-time job was as a junior application developer at Brighthouse. I spent about 8 months in the role, maintaining, managing SharePoint websites, normal C# applications, and a whole list of other things. And I then decided to make the move to a data services space as a junior business intelligence developer, also within Brighthouse, where I spent the next 9 months before being promoted to an intermediate data engineer position. Then I really enjoyed my time there. It's where I learned, the benefits of data and automation and what it could mean in the lives of humans. How do you repurpose the skills that you have and the technologies that you have to use to improve the lives of those around you? And at this point, I very quickly reached the biggest crossroad of my arguably young career. Roughly about 6 months after my promotion, when Dimension Data approached me for an automation architect position. Now, this was quite difficult because I had to deal with a lot of emotions and feelings and rumors and frustration at this time. I very quickly had people telling me that I was too young and too inexperienced for the position, and unfortunately, I managed to allow myself to make those rumors realistic insecurities. But luckily, and this speaks to the point that many of the ladies that spoke before me and in other sessions as well have made. I've had amazing mentors who have watched me grow over the years and have been in industry long enough to be able to guide me in the right direction. And when they spoke to me, they managed to convince me that I was a good fit for the position, so I took the job. And it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in my eyes, and I'm really glad that I took it. I mean, I look back now and I see all the opportunities that I was presented with, and I'm glad that, I made the most of them. And that's why it's very inspirational to make sure that, the women who come after us do the same. And all that I really needed was somebody to believe in me more than I believed in myself. And that is pretty much what I want to instill and deliver to young individuals who are making their way through our villages. And just to close off, I mean, it is never too late nor too early to pivot and, pursue a new career. You're never too young nor too old to do your job, and you're never too diverse to be in tech. There will always be something that you can take on that you've never done before, and that's how the world evolves. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to my story and then ask if there are any questions.
Thanks, Jax. That was really inspiring. I see there are a couple of people that have already commented in the chat. Just really impressive. I think a couple of things stand out for me. Firstly is going after something. I think a lot of us talk ourselves out of goals and dreams. We lose faith, or we kind of list all the things that can go wrong before doing it. So kudos to you for taking your dreams by the horns, literally, or horn as a unicorn, just one. I think that was really, really impressive. And I think another thing which really resonated was you mentioned something about we are creating a path that other young women can follow. And I think that's just really something for everybody that's listening today, is just to kind of take stock and realize that you are influencing the people around you, and you are there are young girls that are looking at the journey you've taken, and because you've done it, they know they can do it, so I think that's really amazing. Some very powerful messages in the chat about your story, so thank you so much, and thanks for being so vulnerable and for sharing. I know that's out of your comfort zone, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I very much appreciate the opportunity. And to all the ladies on the call as well. I mean, I know each and every one of you have a very special part to play in each other's journeys, and I've seen this community grow in the last few months, and it's really impressive to see what everybody's doing and contributing. So yeah, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jax. Awesome. Okay, so that was our first speaker, and next up we have Karika, and Karika has definitely impacted a few of us in the WIT community. She has in particular helped me a lot. And when I asked her about participating today, she also was kind of like, oh, you know, do I have something to say? And I was just like, absolutely. You know, I've got to know Karika quite well over the last few years. And again, this is somebody who, her story, I think, will really just kind of move you and also highlight the things that we've been speaking about. So Karika is a technology fundi. You know, she's one of those that kind of helped me with the WIT stuff by just quickly whipping up a YouTube page and whipping up a document storage system for us, and also, you know, and it was like done in an afternoon, and it came so naturally to her. But what was even more important is that she was able to actually teach a technically capable person such as myself. You know, I am still a pen and paper person, and she did it with aplomb and such grace and kindness. So Karik's welcome, and thank you very much for participating today, and we look forward to listening to you.
Yeah, I hope it will be insightful.
There we go. Take it away. I love the dinosaurs behind you. My son will be very happy to see that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I do like them myself. Just quickly want to get this. I just want to make sure everybody can see this slide and not the timer, because the timer is for me.
Yes, yes.
100%. Okay, and yeah, so basically, as Lauren mentioned, I would like to share my personal story about the impact technology had on me, and also share a few tips on how to make a tech impact of your own. So when I grew up, I wanted to be a vet. Who didn't want to care for the animals? Winning Wimbledon, becoming an Olympian, a professional athlete, a biokineticist, a sports scientist. I mean, you can clearly see where my passions were. But while I was dreaming about being paid to run around, you know, this appeared in our house. The MWeb big black box, an internet starter kit. It came with a very thick manual for the device, and you had to figure it out from there. Because if it broke, you couldn't just Google it. It didn't exist yet, you know. And this is where I actually started to learn, when things break, how to troubleshoot and fix it. So let's fast forward a few years. I went and studied BCom sports management and participated in sport. And in around my third year, I found out, and you know, that even in a sports-loving country like South Africa, there's not a lot of jobs available for those with sport degrees. For example, if you want to be a personal trainer, you just needed to do a certificate and not a degree. So this meant many places were not interested. So I wanted to get the security of a good paying job, one with opportunities and where I could provide in the same manner my mother cared for us. I set out to accomplish this in a career in information technology and got my BTech Information Systems engineering degree. And now I was ready to join the workforce. And this is what I found. A job specification for a junior developer wanted with 2 to 3 years working experience. How on earth was I going to get a job if no one wanted to give me the opportunity to get that work experience? I applied for various positions, but struggled to get past the interview stage due to my lack of development work experience. So I pivoted and was able to get a 6-month contract as this. A scooter riding techie who configured new cell phones for VIP clients, and we copied the information from the old phone onto the new one. By being prepared to learn new skills and get a motorcycle license, I got my first job in tech. And there I was also able to impress one of our clients who referred me to her small home office service provider. And I accepted my first job as a support engineer and got closer to my goal of being a developer. It would take me another few years before I landed an outright development job. So my career took more of a scenic route than rather the straight one. So the impact of technology on my life. It gave me a career, one where I'm always learning and able to implement new solutions. But the biggest impact of technology is that it has allowed me the opportunity to make a difference in other people's lives. Now I want to show you in 5 steps how you can drive your own tech impact of your own. The first one is be curious. Read articles on tech you use and see if you're updating your current software, what new updates have been included in that release. If there's a menu, click on it. See what's on there. If you don't know what it does, go find out. So you might see a button, you don't know what it does, hover over it, see if there's a tooltip, and if you're brave enough, click on it. I did just that. And with my curiosity, you can even test it in this call. When you click on the 3 dots next to all the icons and Teams, you'll see there's an option for closed caption. This is great for people with a hearing limitation, but it's also great if you're, for example, in a coffee shop or have noisy kids at home. Know the right tools. I previously told you how I figured out the MWeb Big Black Box by reading the documentation, and this method is still applicable today. Strive to learn everything about a piece of tech. Try to become an expert in it. Whether it's the fancy fitness tracker on your wrist or something like Google Maps that helps you show you, your way, or even where your car is parked. Since we all moved to Microsoft Teams, I wanted to learn everything about it, how to use tag groups, private channels, automated notifications. And another great feature that I found is who. So basically, especially with the pandemic, you might not know everybody in your company. So if you click on the search bar at the top of Teams and just type in /who and the name of anyone in your organization, it will bring back information about that person, such as the contact details, who are the peers, where they sit in the organization. And here you can see I also did it for this meeting, where I can see like all the other participants that's been invited, which is actually a very fun trick to know. The next one is accessibility for all. So many people might say, yes, this is a noble cause. A noble cause, but not really applicable. But maybe you yourself use glasses, or you know someone else that uses reading glasses and can't read the text on the phone. You can easily increase the font size to make it simpler to read that WhatsApp message. But have a look at the following image. When we talk about accessibility, most people think about this image on the left, the person with one arm. In a study done in America, there are 26,000 people that has lost an arm, for example. And you would say, like, if you do accessibility, you only do it for 26,000 people, it might not be, the time and money spent, worthwhile. But if you think about having a temporary injury, for example, in this case, like an arm injury, which will heal after a set amount of time, 13 million people in America would have been impacted. If we take it to the next step and say situational disabilities, for example, a new parent. Any new parent will be able to tell you how much they can accomplish using just one arm and holding a baby in the other one. If we created a solution, for example, that would benefit people with one arm, with an arm injury, or even new parents, we could impact 21 million people in America. Another solution, for example, is the Seeing AI application. And basically what this is, it's an application Microsoft created for those who are blind or, with visual impairments. And this is an app you can even download, and it's actually quite a lot of fun to play around with. For example, I've got now a sticker here that just says Amazon Cape Town. You activate it on your phone. It will just say what mode it is currently.
Amazon Cape Town.
So, for example, this will then show you, what is being, displayed there. And a friend of mine who's got dyslexia, who can't even order off of a menu, can use this app to order lunch. This can also be, again, used by kids, who are just learning to read. It's basically to find, a way to reuse existing tech in different ways. Automate repetitive tasks. So if robots are coming for our jobs, I hope they come for the repetitive, boring, and manual tasks we all do. I'm a firm believer that we shouldn't do the work the computer should do. And here are two great tools that you can use. I can speak for hours about automation, but just to keep it short, think about a task that you repeat on a regular basis, such as an email that you have to send to your boss or adding a record to an Excel spreadsheet. Either visit Power Automate, which is a Microsoft product, or IFTTT, which is if this, then that, and see if there's not someone that has already solved the solution, the problem you've had, and if it's not already a solution for it, or if you can't just tweak it a bit to make your own life easier. This will help you to free up more time and even be more efficient. For example, what's interesting with the FTTT one is you can even set to say, like, if the International Space Station, hovers, goes across your house, it can make your smart lights blink, for example. So there's lots of practical but also fun things that you can do with these automations. Shortcut keys. This may be very difficult to put into practice, but it can be a very rewarding habit once you've got the hang of it. Yes, I know you can use the mouse, but the time you can save by using shortcut keys really adds up. For example, if you want to just make the text bold, you can highlight the text and just press Ctrl-B. If it's your turn to speak during a Teams meeting and you need to unmute, instead of trying to find where all the buttons are for you to unmute yourself, just use the shortcut keys, Ctrl plus Shift plus N, to toggle your mic on and off. My advice would be, especially with shortcut keys, is to maybe print or write a few of them that you want to master down and keep them close by. As soon as and force yourself to use them, and it will soon become second nature. If you want the shortcut keys, for example, for Microsoft Teams, in the search bar at the top, you can just type in / and keys in the search bar, and that will give you a list of shortcut keys you can use in Microsoft Teams. So to show you that I'm actually using, all these tips that I'm giving you, I still use every day almost, is when I was feeling adventurous and I said I wanted to create awesome PowerPoints and presentations. And I saw this interesting framework on LinkedIn Learning. And it shows you, after doing the course, it shows you how to create an entire presentation using just code. Now that you can't normally do in a normal PowerPoint. My advice to you is quite simple, is to be curious. Become an expert in the software or hardware tools you use. Make your life simpler and use tech to make an impact. I hope this presentation was of value to you, and if you've liked it or you created your own tech impact, please let me know. I would love to hear how you did it and what you did. And if you like, perhaps be interested in me making more talks like this, please get in touch with me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Dev, or Twitter.
Thank you so much, Karika. And looking at the comments, I can see that people are already starting to do all your little tips. Thank you very much. It was really awesome. And I absolutely love the way you wrapped it up by saying that just learning makes an impact. And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough space to learn. There's so many things that you can do and learn, and so many opportunities for upskilling. And this is a great example. So thank you so much. Is there anybody got any questions for Karika? You're welcome to put your hand up, otherwise write them in the chat. I just see everybody going wow, and saying, this is stuff that they hadn't learned before. So thank you very much. Yes.
Pleasure.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, ladies, so we're into the end of our presentation today, and our last speaker is actually, they don't know it, actually doesn't know it, so she's about to be surprised. But our last speaker is actually the reason why I decided to do an impact session. So a few weeks ago, we're a Microsoft partner, and a few weeks ago we received an invite to participate in a very particular Microsoft event, which Ashley will talk about. And this just really absolutely struck me. It was the topic was so relevant, and that is what got me thinking about our impact in this industry, in this field, with these tools. Like the potential for impact is immeasurable and it is infinite. And I did what every event organizer does, and just reached out and asked, would Microsoft be interested in talking to us tonight about this particular initiative? And they said yes. So thank you. Ashley is on the call today. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. I know that the initiative was formally kicked off yesterday with the hackathon teams. And so Ashley's going to be chatting to us about Microsoft Safe at Home hackathon that they have kicked off. And I'm really just excited to, as our last speaker for tonight, is just to kind of tie all of this in. As everybody knows, Microsoft is a leading technology organization globally, but more than that, they're very well known for their social development impact and the footprint that they have created with using technology to improve people's lives. So Ashley, welcome to this evening, and thank you so much for participating. And
thank you so much, Lauren.
I'm going to, there we go, hand over straight to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It really is a privilege to be able to talk to the WIT Network tonight. The talks that I've heard tonight have been so profoundly inspiring. It's amazing to see the work that's happening out there, but also the individuals that are growing in this community. So thank you for sharing your stories. And to pick up on something that Karika was saying is around tech to make an impact. And I think that really is at the core of what this initiative is about. As Microsoft, for a couple of years now, we've really been wanting to do something in relation to trying to address gender-based violence and femicide in our country. I think every one of us knows how severe and pervasive this challenge is in South Africa. We look at, reported cases. Over 40% of women have reported saying that they've experienced interpersonal violence in their lifetime. And we know that most cases go unreported. So it really is a tragic situation. And I think the current circumstances, the pressure that people are experiencing, it's getting worse. So I was quite inspired when I heard of a story out of Israel, our team in Israel. They had partnered with a forum called the Michal Seller Forum. It was founded by a sister of a victim of femicide. And they approached Microsoft and they said, we fundamentally believe that technology can make an impact on tackling gender-based violence in Israel. And it was quite interesting to hear because Israel is a superbly tech innovative company with startups, but they said when it came to gender-based violence, nothing had been done in that space. So they launched a hackathon called the Safe at Home Hackathon. And out of this hackathon, which was really driven by the developer community in Israel, a number of ideas came out. And I think one of my favorites was this jewelry designer who teamed up with a developer, and they developed different pieces of artistic jewelry. And in the jewelry, there was a sensor basically hidden in the jewelry. And when somebody's blood or heart rate started accelerating, tension was noted in their voice, it sent off a signal to the 5 closest friends of the person to say that they were in distress. So that this is obviously for people who are in homes where they're experiencing gender-based violence, they don't know how to get out of it, and this is their safeguard for getting immediate action when required. After I heard about this, Lillian, the MD for Microsoft in South Africa, started talking about this, and we said, this is actually an opportunity for our developer community in South Africa, and to bring together some of our youngest, some of our oldest, some of our cleverest minds across the country and apply it to the problem. We obviously can't replicate what was done or the solutions that came out of Israel. We're in a different context. We sit in an environment where most of the women and children that are at risk don't necessarily have access to smartphones, to Wi-Fi, to even the money to be able to drive it. So these are different parameters that we're working in. But what we have launched is the Safe at Home Hackathon. And the hackathon the platform is opened for registrations, and it will actually formally kick off on the 22nd of September. And what we're looking for is teams to come together to think collectively and to work on solutions that will work in our unique environment to address gender-based violence and femicide. We've partnered with 2 leading NGOs who are fighting GBV in our country, 1,000 Women Voices and Tears Foundation. And the Michael Seller Forum is also working closely with us and guiding us and helping us to achieve this. And then obviously we've got Mint on board as a partner. Thank you. They're running with us and trying to help us on the Teams platform, which will help with the communication with the teams that enter the hackathon. We've currently got 470 people registered. We really want to try and drive as many people as possible so that we can get the most diverse and best thinking for this. The hackathon itself will run from the 22nd of September to the 19th of October, and we'll announce the winners on the 26th of October. Where there are prizes to be won, $8,000 worth of prizes for the first, second, and third, and it's split in different amounts amongst them. And the ultimate objective of this is to actually try and get one of these applications or a couple of these applications built and delivered through these NGOs to the communities that need them. We have kind of grouped the challenges for the hackathon to look at different areas that people face within gender-based violence. It's quite broad when we started to understand the challenges. So you've got the kind of first area, which is around preventative measures or putting emergency, when somebody is in a situation, an emergency response in place. That's the first type of challenge. The second type of challenge is to help women who are sitting in situations of gender-based violence to actually realize that they're in this situation and provide them with the tools and advice on how to get out of the situation and what is available to them. And then the third piece of the area that we're looking around is how to rebuild after you come out of the situation and you've managed to extract yourself from the situation. And the idea is that you can build for one of those challenges or you can build across those challenges. And really for us, this is about as many people as possible, as many ideas as possible, and really trying to find a solution that can make an impact in addressing gender-based violence and femicide. So thank you for the opportunity. I hope that we're going to see a number of people on this call. The ideas that I've heard so far are incredible. So if we could have that participation in our hackathon focused at this challenge at our country, I know we can come up with an incredible solution.
Thank you so much, Ashley. It's just really powerful listening to you because I do think, I mean, this group of women, the audience and the speakers alike, are just a collection of the most incredible minds. And I think, you know, just that collective experience is really, a couple of people are already asking for details of the hackathon. So absolutely, please share those details in the chat. I did see Miranda join the call, so maybe she has them online. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Guys, there we go, ladies. I think just from my perspective, I would like to comment is, sorry, before I comment, Karix, I see you've got your hand up. What do you want to ask?
Oh, sorry. No, if you first want to talk, I just want to say that although it's for developers, you know, there's also other roles people can fulfill. So if you've got a great idea, you can, you know, join as an idea generator and then get developers on the, you know, on the platform to assist you in develop, you know, putting it into reality. So yeah, just want to make sure it's open for all types.
Yes,
100%. We actually, our group of people contains the marketing manager, myself, and one of our project administrators, as well as all the technical people, because we want to also, you know, and encourage women to participate, because I think all of us, as to your point, have either experienced some level of assault or abuse in this kind, or there is that potential, high potential that it could happen. You know, there are many people amongst us who may go for runs, and there was a very interesting article published about a woman who organized with the security companies in the Bryanston area from between, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. to be standing in very specific places so that women and vulnerable people can go for a run or for a walk at that time in that area, and every corner or point there's a visible guard. And it was just a simple community solution that has had a huge impact. So really, just to encourage all of you on this call, reach out to Ashley, the details she has posted. But yeah, it would be wonderful. Zandile, maybe some of your girls, your winning hackathon teams, maybe they want to participate as well. So absolutely. Thank you so much, Ashley. Really awesome.
Thank you so much, Lauren, and everybody on the call. I really appreciate the time.
Pleasure. So ladies, thank you very much. We've come to the end of another amazing WIT event. And really thank you all for joining us this afternoon. It's just, yeah, I feel so inspired now. Wow, this is just amazing listening to these stories. And the comments just leads me to believe that so many of you out there also have amazing stories to share. I really want to drive you to our LinkedIn page and use that page for networking and connecting. And I'll send you the details of our next event, which will be in early October. And we've got speakers already lined up, which is amazing. But yes, thank you very much to all of you. I really appreciate your support. We will download this recording and post it to our YouTube channel, and you're welcome to share that with anyone who may be interested. Please reach out to the speakers that you heard today. If you couldn't get their details there, let me know and I'll put you in touch. Otherwise, have a fantastic evening. Really, really awesome to have you all with us this evening. So enjoy the evening and enjoy the weekend and the wonderful weather. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, ladies.
And Lauren, you'll remember to end the recording.
Oh, no, thank you. Stop recording.